Hello and welcome to this video for how to play Minesweeper with me, Minesweeper ASMR. Thank you for joining me today. Minesweeper is one of those games that most people know about, but not everyone knows how to play, at least not properly. And I promise you, it's not all just guesswork. So in this super relaxing video, I'm going to go through the rules of Minesweeper using this expert grid. And along the way, we'll encounter some patterns, some tips, some tricks that we can use to help us solve an expert grid. What we have here is a grid with 99 mines concealed within it, and it's our job to uncover the safe squares and flag the mines. And we can do that with the help of these numbers. The number tells you how many mines are touching this square, and that's any of the 8 adjacent squares around it. So it could be above, below, to the left, to the right, and its 4 diagonals. So let's start by taking a look at this corner up here that's been revealed. This number 1 says that 1 mine must be touching this square. The surrounding 7 squares have been revealed, and they are safe, which means that the 8th and final square to be revealed must be the mine. So we'll flag it. And look, we have something very similar over on the other side. So let's go ahead and put a flag on that corner as well. Here is another one. We have the number 1 here with 7 of its 8 surrounding tiles already uncovered and safe. Therefore, this one here has to be the mine. And as we gather more information, we start clearing away tiles and start flagging the mines. It gives us some more clues to help us reveal more and more of the board. This number 2, as you can probably guess, means that there are 2 mines touching the adjacent tiles. And 6 of the 8 have already been uncovered, with a 7th that we flagged as a mine. Therefore, this final one here must also be a mine. So let's go and flag it now. There we go. And we can start to see some mines where its criteria has already been satisfied. This one buried down in the corner already has a mine to its top right hand side. That means that the 4 uncovered tiles must all be safe. And I'm going to double click and it will reveal them all and a few extra. This number 3 has almost been satisfied because from the 2 above it we've already got 2 mines touching it. Therefore, the only square left to be uncovered must be the third mine. So hopefully now you understand the basic rules of Minesweeper. A lot of it is about recognizing patterns, and I'll try and flag some of these patterns as we go, but I'm just going to go and make a little bit more progress until we come across something that is a little more interesting. We can do something now in this top right hand corner. This number 2 already has 2 mines, so the remaining 2 uncovered adjacent tiles must be safe. This is a pattern that we often see, and it's a number 3 next to this number 1. Now this number 1 has to have a mine either here, here, or here, and no more than 1 mine, which, when we're trying to satisfy the criteria for this number 3, is very important. Because, for example, this number 3 can't have its mines both here and here on these 2 squares, because now this number 1 has been oversatisfied. It's touching 2 flags, and there can only be 1 mine. So what does that mean? Well, that means that one of the mines has to be either on this square or this square, and its third mine has to be here. And now, because we know it's either one of these 2 mines, we know for certain that this one to the top right of the number 1 has to be safe. Here's another pattern that we often see, and we have the number 2 here and the number 2 above it. And the way that they're positioned means that if we satisfy the criteria for the bottom 2, it automatically satisfies the criteria for the 2 above it. Let me show you. With this number 2, we have 5 uncovered safe tiles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we have 1 flag, which leaves 2 uncovered tiles to be our second mine. It can either go here or here, and it doesn't matter which one we go for, here or here. The number 2 above it will then be satisfied, which means that the 3 uncovered tiles above must all be safe. We can extend this a little bit further now. This number 1 is going to be touching a mine that has to be either here or here. So again, the 3 above it have to be safe. And I'm glad that it's revealed a 1, 2, 1 pattern. Whenever you see something like this along a row of uncovered tiles, the one above the number 2 has to be the safe one. And it almost seems a bit counterintuitive, but there's some logic behind it. We need 2 bombs touching, or 2 mines touching this number 2. If they were to go here and here, they would oversatisfy the criteria for this number 1 to its right. And if they were to be here and here, they would over-satisfy the criteria to this one on the left. Therefore, the only way that you can have two mines touching the number 2 and not over-satisfy the ones beside it means that they have to go to the top left and the top right. This one is safe. And now we can start to clear away even more of the board. And I'm just going to... Here we go. Here's another instance. We have a 1, 2, 1. So we know without really thinking about it that the middle one, the one underneath the number 2, has to be safe, and the ones either side are mines. And would you look at that? Now we have satisfied this pair of 2s. We know which one is the second mine, so the one to its left must be safe. We have a 3 sitting in a corner of uncovered or flagged mines with 1 mine still to go, so it has to be there. Let's go ahead and fill out a bit more now. Here's another 1, 2, 1. And this number 2 has now been satisfied. And again, look here. And I'm just going to keep going for a little bit. Here's a case, and we've got a couple of examples now, where we have the number 3 sitting on a row or a column of uncovered tiles. And that means that all 3 of them must be mines here. And the same over on this side. This number 3 has all 3 of the tiles above flagged as mines. This number 3 has now been satisfied. We've not really had to think about this too much. It's just happened. And now this number 2 needs a second mine. This number 2 needs a second mine. And this 3 has now been satisfied. Ah, a 6. Oh no. Actually, you shouldn't be afraid of big numbers. If you're afraid of big numbers in Minesweeper, then maybe you shouldn't be playing Minesweeper. A big number is a good number because it gives you more mines that you can flag nearby. See it as a positive rather than as something that's difficult. It's no difficult. The numbers are all equally as important as each other. Let's see what we can do here. This number 4 has 3 adjacent mines that we flagged, and there's only 1 more tile left. It must be that one. And actually, if we look here now, this number 6 needs 6 of its 8 tiles surrounding it to be mines. That means 2 of its 8 tiles will be uncovered. Well, we have that. This number 4 above it, and the number 3 to its bottom left. So all other squares around it must be mines. Here we have this 3-1 situation in the corner where we know that these 2 must be mines. And now a little bit more progress to see what we can come up with, if there's anything else that's worth looking at. Here's another 3 along an unseen column, so all 3 of them must be mines. And it won't be too long before we have to start using a bit more logic, and probably the chances are we'll have to use a bit of luck as well. We got away with it in that corner. And suddenly we're already halfway through this expert grid. Here's another 3-1 situation in this kind of L shape of uncovered tiles. So we know that these two have to be part of the mines that satisfy this number 3 here, because otherwise it would over-satisfy the number 1. And similarly, we can work out a little bit more here. It looks a bit confusing, but we know from this number 4 that either this square or this square has to contain the 4th mine. And if we look at this number 2, even it doesn't matter which square it is, that number 2 will then be satisfied. Which means that the square here to its top right that's touching it has to be safe. And we can give the 3rd mine to this number 3 here. Here's a bit more logic for you. So we have a 4 next to a 2, so again we kind of have this gap of 2 numbers, going from 3 to 1 or 4 to 2. This 2 already has a mine attached to it, which means it only needs 1 more. And by that logic, it can't be these 2, because then we would have 3 mines touching this. We'd also have 6 mines touching this 5 up here. So only one of these 2 can be a mine. And therefore this one has to be safe. This number 3 now already has 3 mines attached to it, so we can mark all the others as safe. And suddenly we're clearing away. Here we go, here's a 3 and a 1, so it either has to be here or here. But we know that this one above it must be safe. We can use similar logic now. We know that from this number 2, we can't have 2 mines either here or here or here, because that would over-satisfy this one. So 1 mine has to be here, and the other has to be within these 3 uncovered squares. And it doesn't matter which one that is. That means that all of these to the right of that number 1 must be safe. Here's a 3 alongside an uncovered column, so I can quickly go through all of those, and it looks like we might be in trouble up ahead. There's still one more thing that we can do in order to be sure of some progress, and that's by looking at this section down here. This number 5 has 4 mines touching it, 2 uncovered tiles, so one of them must be the mine. And again, it doesn't matter if it's the one on the left or the one on the right. The number 3 will be satisfied, and that means that the one to its top right must be safe, and we're hoping for a number 2. Let's go. Yes, we got away with it. This number 2 has already been satisfied, so we can make good progress here. It was the one directly above the number 5 that was a mine. This 3 needs another mine, so we can flag it to its top left. And it's all getting a bit cramped in here, but we can still work through this. This number 5 now has been satisfied. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with 1 uncovered tile, so it has to be this one is safe. These pair of 2s will satisfy each other. This 2 here has to be the one above it and the one to the top left, and this other 2 has now been satisfied as well. This 3 has been satisfied, so we need a 4th mine up here. It has to be the one directly above the 4 or the one to its top right. And again, either one will mean that 3 mines are touching the number 3. So that one's safe, and we've got lucky again. Okay, well, this is the first YouTube video that I'm making, and clearly luck is on my side here. So this number 2 has been satisfied, and we can complete the rest now with some certainty in this top corner. We're not having to rely on chance or 50-50s. So the one above the 4 has to be the mine, has to be the 4th mine. This number 3, the one to the top left, is the only one that can be left. And this 2's been satisfied. And there's a mine at the top there. So we've now got 28 mines left to find, with about a quarter to a third of the board left, which makes sense. But there's a lot of good progress that we can make here. Now I could go super obvious and start down here with this number 1, which has already got a mine touching it, but this is about showing you some alternative ways of making progress. And you can see at the top here, this number 1 has to either have a mine touching it on this square or this square. And either one would satisfy the criteria for this number 2. Therefore, the one on the bottom left has to be safe. This is the only one where that second mine could be there, so I'm going to flag that. The third mine here has to be either here or here. Either would satisfy the criteria for the number 2, so the one to its top left has to be safe. This number 3 here needs 2 more mines to be flagged. And what it can't be are these 2 here, because that would mean that 3 mines are now touching this number 2, and that's no good. So the only way that we can make this work is by having 1 mine either here or here, and the third mine must be this one in the top corner. And because the third mine must be here or here, the one to its bottom left has to be safe. And I think that's probably enough explanation of some of the basics on how to find mines. Let's see now if we can continue making good progress or if we're going to get stuck. And I think we might be stuck. There's something we can do here, but it's not immediately obvious. But this is what this video is all about, is to show you ways that you can become unstuck. Check out this number 3 here. There are 4 squares yet to be uncovered. 3 of them must be mines. Now, let's say that it's these 3 here. Well, now we're over-satisfying the criteria for this number 2. So it can't be those 3. And in fact, what that means is that it has to be the one to its bottom left. It keeps out the way of the number 2 here now. So the other 2, no matter where they are, here or here or here or here, they all work and they all satisfy this number 2. So we know that the other squares above it are safe. Now we're in trouble. Now we're in trouble because there's no certainty here as to which squares are safe and which squares are mines. And that is part of the charm of Minesweeper, the frustration of Minesweeper, is that sometimes we just have to take a shot in the dark and use statistics, use probabilities to work out which is the most likely square to be a mine and which are the most likely squares to be safe. We've still got 19 to find in this grid. Let's take a quick look down here. We know that in order to meet the criteria for this 2 and this 3, there has to be either a mine here or a mine here. It can't be both. But whichever square it is will be the third of the 4 mines that are surrounding this number 4. Which means that either this one, or this one is the 4th mine. And I'm going to take a bit of a gamble here. I'm going to gamble that it's this one, based on the information we have on this side. And I'm fully expecting it to be game over. And it's not. We guessed correctly. And we've also got some more vital information which might help us become unstuck. Because we found the 4th mine that we need. We know that the other one is going to be here or here, so the 2 to the side of it have to be safe. And now we can start making good progress again. Okay, or can we? We stopped. We stopped one more time. And let's see now what we can do. This number 4 here indicates that of its 6 uncovered squares around it, 4 of them are going to be mines. And that means there's a high probability, a very high chance of mines being in these 2 squares here. And that will fulfill this number 2. Let's think about this properly now. There has to be one either here or here. So I reckon this is probably one of the ones that's touching the number 4, just through probability and likelihood. And it was. Again, we somehow got away with it. We're not out the woods yet. 2 more uncovered squares means that those are mines 3 and 4 to satisfy the number 4 here. This 2's been done, so we're almost there. We've got 13 mines, but how much luck can we get here? Well, actually, I think we can work this out quite easily. We know here that this number 3 and this one needs a mine touching it. It needs the 3rd mine for this number 3. So it's either here or here, which satisfies the criteria for this 3. Then that would be the 3rd mine touching it. So this one and this one are both safe. And look, we can now make some good progress again. I'm very happy that we managed to get through that. It required a little bit of luck and a little bit of patience and thinking things through. And you won't always be so lucky. But sometimes luck is on your side. Here's the last one. And we've done it. We've beaten Expert in 1,635 seconds, which is quite slow, but that's fine. We had fun doing it, and we didn't mess up. I hope that has given you some help, some advice for how to play Minesweeper, and that you can try it on your own, and how you can use the numbers as clues for you to make progress and hopefully complete it. And let me know how fast you can complete Expert when you get the hang of it. Until next time.